This video is based on the technical analysis of Hong Kong 50, which we also refer to as Seng as well as HSI. And at this point in time, we're on the weekly chart, as you guys can see. And what we'll do in regards to the technical analysis of Hong Kong 50 is identify the market structure, market patterns that we should be paying attention to, key support and resistance levels, important candlestick patterns, as well as levels at which we should be looking for those potential buying and selling opportunities. And so, without wasting any further time, guys, let's get straight into the actual technical analysis of HK50. And as I said, we are on the weekly chart, and in regards to the weekly chart, we can see that at this point in time we have what seems to be an inverted head and shoulders pattern forming, right? And this pattern actually has its left shoulder at this point. This is the head, and this would be the right hand shoulder, and it also has a neckline at that level, more or less, right? And because this pattern started at this point, ideally we want to see the market actually continue to move further up to complete this pattern in line with where it started, right? Having said that, just also keep in mind that at this point in time, the neckline, which is over here, is a very strong level of resistance, as we had multiple rejections in and around that area. And as much as we want to see the market continue to move further up to around that level, what may possibly also happen is that we may potentially see the market move to where the neckline is, and because the neckline is a very strong level of resistance, we may potentially then see the market push further down, right? So we just need to be open in as far as the various outcomes that we may encounter in as far as HK50 is concerned, right? But let's zoom in and see what else is happening in regards to the weekly chart of HK50. At this point, I don't see much, so what I will do is head down to the daily chart and let's have a look in terms of what's happening there, right? And just to zoom out again and just to recap, remember guys, on the weekly chart we spoke about how we have that huge inverted head and shoulders pattern, right? And we could say that the right hand shoulder is more or less here, right, within this zone over here, right? But let's zoom in and see what's happening in that zone, right? In this zone we can see, right, that we actually have a very nice W structure. It's actually an overextended W structure over here, where that first leg is much lower than that second leg, and it too has a neckline at that point, right? And the neckline also serves as a very strong level of resistance, as we had multiple rejections at that point. And what we may possibly see is actually the market moving further down, right? Especially because, guys, remember, whenever we have these W structures like we do here, what normally happens is that a lot of traders and investors usually buy on the second leg of the W structure and they place their stop losses just below, right? So what this means is that as much as we want to see the market continue to move further up, we may also possibly see the market move further down to around this level to grab those stop losses that are just located just below that second leg of that W structure. So we just need to be careful. Another thing that I also want to point out in regards to the daily chart is that as much as we have on the weekly chart this pattern, which is an inverted head and shoulders pattern, just note that we were in a downward trending market right at this point, and we can see that the market at this point in time has actually closed above that trend line, which is a good thing and motivates for why we may possibly see the market continue to move further up. But what else do we see, guys, in regards to the daily chart? At this point I don't see much, but just keep in mind that the neckline of this W structure is at this point, and ideally we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and at that point is where I believe we should look for those potential buying opportunities. And that is because, guys, as I usually say, whenever we have W structures, we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and at the neckline is where we look for those potential buying opportunities, especially if the neckline aligns with any key numbers that we have in regards to the Fibonacci retracement tool, right? Anyway, what else do we see on the daily chart? At this point I don't see much, so let's head down to the H4 chart and see what's happening down there. Let's have a look. And just to recap, guys, remember on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this huge W structure which has a neckline at that point, and we said that the neckline is also now a very strong level of resistance, as we may potentially see the market move further down, right? Another thing that I also want to mention now that we're on the H4 chart is that as much as on the daily chart we have this huge W structure, right? If I can just zoom in a bit, we can see that on the H4 chart we have another smaller W structure over here, and it too has a neckline at that point, right? So what may possibly happen is that we may see price from where it is actually move further down to around this level. Why do I say so? Remember, just to zoom out a bit, on the daily chart we spoke about how we have this huge W structure, right, which has a neckline at that point, and we said the neckline is a very strong level of resistance, and we may potentially see the market at that level move further down to around this level, right? Why do I say this level? That is because, remember, on the H4 chart we spoke about how we have this smaller W structure which has a neckline at that point, and I also said earlier that whenever we have these W structures, we want to see price breaking to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and at that neckline is where we generally look for those potential buying opportunities, right? So what I'm saying, in other words, let me just zoom in again, is that because price is almost at a very strong level of resistance, we may see a situation where the market from this level moves further down to around this level, and at this level again is where I would say we should look for those potential buying opportunities, because as I said, we have this W structure, and that we want to see price coming back to the neckline to give it a test, and at this neckline is where I believe we should look for those potential buying opportunities. Also, if you were to utilize the Fibonacci retracement tool, you would actually see that the neckline of this W structure, let's just actually apply the Fib tool, right? You would actually see that the neckline, which is over here, of this W structure aligns with the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement level. So we have confluence in as far as looking for potential buying opportunities goes. Number one, we have this W structure. Number two, we have price breaking to the upside of that neckline. Number three, we would have price, if it does happen, come back to the neckline of this W structure. Number four, the neckline is also now a very strong level of support, as we had multiple rejections, and in the future we may get another rejection at this point. And number five, the neckline also aligns with the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement level. So should price from where it is come back to this level, at this level is where we should look for those potential buying opportunities. And just to go back to the weekly chart, remember, on the weekly chart earlier we spoke about how we expect price actually, or the market, to complete this very nice inverted head and shoulders pattern, and we said that it started at this point, and ideally we would love to see the market end at that level in line with where it would have started. So what I'm saying, in other words, is that at this point in time I believe we should just be looking for buying opportunities at this point in time, right? But just remember, guys, that I also spoke about, let me just go back to the daily chart. Remember that I also spoke about how we have on the daily chart this W structure over here, which has a neckline at that point. And as much as I'm saying that the anticipation is for the market to continue to move further up, remember that the neckline of this W structure, which is over here, right, is a very strong level of resistance at this point in time, as we had multiple rejections at that level. We may potentially see the market move further down, right? Just to go back to the H4 chart, just bear with me. Here we are again on the H4 chart, guys. In as far as the H4 chart goes at this point in time, I don't see any actual opportunities in as far as buying or selling. However, as I said, we may potentially see the market from that level move further down to this level, and at this level is where I believe we should look for those potential buying opportunities. Just remember to like and subscribe if you do indeed like the content, and if there are any other charts that you would like me to have a look at, just let me know in the comment section, and peace out.